Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon everyone. So let's continue our class today. We are going to discuss about our chapter 2, which is thinking like an economist. How we are going to think like economists. Alright, of course. Some of you might think that economists we need to make a profit, we need to make a revenue, we need to make money. Of course, but there is other thing that we need to consider if we are thinking like economists, right? Basically in this chapter, we'll cover about the two rules of economics. How do they differ? What are the role, right? And what are models? How do economists use them? And what are the elements of the circular flow model that been used by economists? And how the production possibilities frontier (PPF) related to opportunity cost? How does it mean? How many to produce? How many to produce to meet the demand by customers, and so on and so forth. What is the difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics, and what does it mean by positive and normative statement? Alright, so these are the things that we are going to study in this chapter 2. Alright, it's as if you can see here, I already made the mind mapping for you so that easier for you to understand. Economists might be defines or play two roles. First, economists play a role as a scientist. So this is the first role, as a scientist, and also as the second role, which is known as policy advisor. Policy advisor. So these two roles will be very important role that be played by the economists, as you can see here. Two roles. Scientists. Scientists, how does it relate with the economists? Because we can consider it as economists to be play a role as a scientist because they are trying to explain the world. Why and how? By making the scientific method, they observe the thing, they experience the thing, and then they make decision what needs to be done by this particular situation, for example. And then they make assumptions. If let's say 100 demand by customer, how much the cost that will be used to produce 100 cakes, for example. Alright, and they also use model to identify, to conclude all the assumption. And then in terms of policy advisor, in terms of this policy advisor, they try to improve it. After they explain to the world and how explain to the world, they implement it, and after they implement it, they see the defaults, or they see the deficiencies of the things that they be implement. So how they try to improve it? By having the policy advisor. So this policy advisor will show us about the production possibilities frontier, and also they'll make us to think about the positive statements and also normative statement. What does it differ between these two statements? Later on we are going to study all these things. And then in the economics as well, you need to know what does it mean by the circular flow. Who involved in this circular flow? Alright, and then does it circular flow require you to know how much demand to produce, how to supply to the industry and the firm. So basically the circular will involve with you with two things here. First, you need to remember about the household and also about the firm. How firm will use the productions factors to produce product, and how the household will tell you what they need from the production. Alright, so this is about the circular flow. No worries, I'll explain you later one by one very clearly. And then here as you can see here, the word micro and also macroeconomics. What does it mean? What makes them differ? Previously, we know that in this class you are studying with me, you are sharing with me regarding the microeconomics. Alright, we will be studying about the rules of the humans, the individual decision making, how they make the decision. Remember the 10 principles that I told you in the last class? So that's the thing, basically the microeconomics. Alright, so for macroeconomics, we will take a look on the bigger pictures. What does it mean by the inflation? So how does inflation affect the world policy? So that is the bigger perspective of the economy. So we know as the macroeconomics. Alright, so that's the differences. Okay, let's say, okay, scientific method. Okay, here the roles of economists as scientists, and the scientists try to explain the world by using the scientific method. So these scientific methods involve with the observation. Okay, collect and analyze data. When you observe the situation, you need to collect the data. Why to collect the data? Because you need to know this is this exactly that being excused to have this phenomena, or it just only based on the assumption. Alright, so that is why you need to have the facts and figure to prove your observation. Does it true? Does it not true? Does it false? Or so on and so forth. So what makes that facts is solid or valid is based through on the analysis and the data that you collect. Alright, and from that we can develop a theory based on we observe the data. So we can develop the theory, okay, and more observation to evaluate the theory. If let's say we develop the theory but then the data is not enough yet, we can collect another data to evaluate the theory. Alright, cannot use laboratory experiment and pay close attention to the natural experiments offered by the history. So based on that, we also can collect the data from the primary and also from the secondary sources in order to support the argument that we made for our phenomena. For example, if we want to study about the pricing of the computer, the rise of the increasing of the pricing for the laptop, for example. So we observe that why people do not want to buy that particular laptop as compared to the Recon's laptop, for example. So you observe, so collect data. Collect data from who? From the user. We collect data from the user, of course, and then we take a look. Either this user will continue buy if we decrease the price of the laptop or not. Alright, and then that's the thing. Okay, then we move forward to take a look on the assumptions. Okay, economists also make assumptions. They simplify the complex words to make easy to understand. Alright, economists also use model. Okay, many details to allow us to see what is truly important and built with the assumptions. Okay, all models are subject to revision. Why subject to revisions? Because from time to time, we know that our economies will evolve. Okay, we cannot forecast what will happen in future. Alright, so that's why we have to complement our theory with the current and also temporary issue. Okay, now next we also will take a look on the circular flow model. So this is very important for you to know because it's always been asked in your midterm question. Okay, let me explain to you one by one. If you can see here, there are two main things that important to know here: firms and also household. How this circular flow are being integrated? They are being integrated based on the relationship between the household and firm. Okay, how does it working? Okay, first the inner arrow here, as you can see here, the inner arrow here in green color, it shows us the flow of factors of productions, which is input and output. Remember, inner flow started with the household. It's involved the elements of input and also output. What does it mean by input? What is the input? Input is from the provides factors of production. What are the factors of productions? They are land, labor, capital, enterprise. Okay, so it begins like that. What's our output? Output's here. Okay, output is here. Output is goods and also services that been produced. Okay, here. So the circular flow will begin in this way. Alright. First, household or consumers will provide the input. Okay, will provide you land, labor, capital, and also entrepreneurs skill whatsoever into the firm. Okay, firm will use all this input to produce the output. Okay, to produce the output. What output? The output that been provided by the household. Okay, so it's been produced goods and services, and these goods and services been consumed or been bought by the household, and the process will goes until the ends of the world, maybe. Alright, so that is the explanations of the internal arrow here, which is represented by the green arrow. Okay, next. After that, it's internally, and the outside arrow explain us about their income and also revenue. They also explain to us about the consumptions, how much to be consumed. Okay, so this will start the flow with the firm. Okay, firm will use factor of production provided by household. Alright, we'll use all the factors, and then this firm will pay will pay the household, or will pay the employees with the rent, wage, interest, and also profit. Okay, so that become the household income. So from this income, household will buy the goods and services that been provided by the industry and firm, and they will consume. Okay, they will consume that goods and services, and the firm again to have the revenue here. Okay, so meaning that firm will pay firm will pay the wage, will pay the rent, interest, or profit to the household, and household will use that income to buy the consumptions, and from the consumptions can generate revenue to the firm. So that explains the outside flow of this circular diagram. Alright, so this is the same phenomena that been explained in this flow. So later on you may take a look on this. So this flow, these pictures I provide to you so that you can easy to understand what does it mean by inner flow, what does it mean by the outer flow, how does it work. So in a simple way, the circular diagram, the flow of this circular diagram explain to you about the relationships of this household and also the firm. How firm can generate profit from the household buyers, and how household can contribute to the economy as well, as a employees, as a workers, as a consumers. Alright. Okay, now we move forward to take a look on the production possibilities frontier. Alright. So this PPF is about a graph that show you a various combinations of output. Okay, for example, if I want to produce a bicycle, how much I can produce the car, for example. So this might be a complement product for a transportation. So it might have the opportunity cost, meaning that if I produce more bicycle, I might be produce less car. Or if I produce more car, I might be produce less bicycle. So that kinds of the PPF involving, okay, how many output that we can be produced in combination, not a sole product, but in the combination to increase the efficiency of the production. Alright. Okay, so that the economy can possibly produce given the available factors of productions and also available production technology. Remember, factors of productions, we have labor, okay, we have labor, we have entrepreneurs, entrepreneurial skill. Just now, we also have land, human resource. Okay, human resource just like a labor. Okay, and then, okay, let's take a look on this example first. Okay, this example explains to you about the available resources and also technology can produce only soybean 5,000 tons, only airplane 100 airplanes, or a combination of soybean and also airplane. Okay, take a look on this. Alright, let's say these are just a few of the possible production combinations between airplanes and also soybean. To increase the productions of airplanes from 0 to 20, how many tons of soybean do we have to give up? Alright, to increase this 0 to 20, okay, how many soybean that we need to sacrifice in order to have 20 airplane? Okay, so how to calculate it? You have to calculate it 5,000 minus 4,000 equal to 1,000. So meaning that in order for you to produce 20 airplane, you have to give up about 100 soybeans. 1,000 tons of soybean, so that you can produce 4,000 soybean. So the process is goes beyond that, and beyond that. All right. So understand. So how many tons? 1,000 tons that we have to give up. Okay. So this is the line that we can produce. So how we determine the efficient, inefficient, and not feasible? Okay. The efficiency in the economy is getting all it can from the scarce resources available. So this efficient represented by the line A, B, C, D, E. So that is the efficient. Okay, inefficient level point inside the PPF. For example, here, here, here. So this is inefficient, meaning that we produce lesser as compared to the things that we can produce more. We produce lesser. We produce lesser. However, we can produce more, but we produce lesser. So that is inefficient. How about not feasible? Not feasible is the dot here, dot here, dot here, outside the straight line, efficient straight line. So the outside meaning that we do not have enough resources to produce more. So that is not feasible to do. Alright, so I hope you understand of this. So later on you take a look on this. So this is not feasible, not possible to produce. This is infeasible. So this is the efficient dot. Okay. Alright, so okay, now we need to take a look on the why the PPF might be both upward. Okay, as the economy shifts resources from bare to mountain bike, PPF becomes steeper and the opportunity cost of mountain bike increase. So this is happening if a company changes the product to produce. So they need to take a look on the production's cost again. How does it impact the company to produce a new product as a replacement product? All right. Okay, and then so this is the upward when different workers have different skill. There are different opportunity costs of producing one goods in terms of the other. There is some other resources or mixed resources with varying opportunity costs. Okay, so that one is the outwards and also the factors for the outwards of the line for PPF. And then now we take a look on the micro and macroeconomic. Just now from the beginning, I already told you microeconomics is studying about how household and firms make decisions and how they interact. Okay, macroeconomics study you about economic-wide phenomena. For example, we're studying about inflation. We take a look on the unemployment and also economic growth, GDP and etc. So that one is under macroeconomics. And like I said earlier, economists play advisor. Yes, they explain to you, they advise to you what need to be done, how that thing need to be done, and what judgment need to be considered. Alright, talking about judgment, we are related with the positive statement and also negative statement. Remember, Positive statement always describe the world as it is. Okay, describe the world as it is. Example, minimum wage, law, cost, unemployment. Okay, minimum wage, law, cost, unemployment. And normative statement saying that the government should raise the minimum wage. Okay, why? So normative statement is related to this. Prescribe how the world should be. How the world should be. They do not want the normal structure. They forecast that it should be like this. It should be like this. So the government should raise the minimum wage. So that is the positive and normative statement. So later on, you take a look on this and study by yourself. What does it mean by that? And also, okay. So this is the thing that you need to think about on the think pressure. So these are the, just like your exercise to do in this chapters. Alright. So chapter in a nutshell is actually the summaries of the chapter that explain to you the terms and the terms. Okay, the terms. What does it mean? Alright. Okay, I think that's all from me for this class. Anything that you want to ask me, please WhatsApp me regarding this.